can help. Your business needs...
Oh, how I love Jesus. I feel straightened out here. Sure, not too crooked. There's a lot of people saying crooked right now. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. Now, we are in the midst of the battle. And we're like seeing things, some good things. We're going to have a couple, not so good things happen too, because we're in a battle and there's still people that are like, when we get successful, they want to come at us. So they like send their little minions, So, we always have to remember that. Cool Hand Luke saying. It's a good one. Cool Hand Luke was a great movie. I thought Paul Newman, he might have been one of those actors who was like good back then. He didn't go to the dark side, because by then in Hollywood, some of the gangster boys and stuff, Hollywood was more real than we thought was fake, you know what I mean? But in that Cool Hand Luke, one part of the movie was really great. And he was kind of a rebel and he got in trouble in prison and stuff. One of the guards of the prison, the warden or whatever, came out and said, "What you get here, what we have here today, is some man you just can't reach." It was a really deep, just a deep moment in the movie. And then they had like a close-up of this guy with the shiny glasses or whatever, and went on from there. I don't remember the exact words. So you get what we have here today, which is, I don't remember how I said it, but it was just so good. It's some men you just can't reach. And I think that's where we're at in the kingdom right now. Is some men are just like, dude, I can't take it. It's too much. Too much. Too simple. It can't be that easy. It can't be that smoking isn't a sin, because they've been saying it is in the church forever. It can't be that drinking wine is a sin. They've been taking that to church forever, even though they told Jesus it was a sin and he was drunk. But even though we're doing the same thing now, it still can't be right. That's too easy. And then cannabis, I don't know, that can't be equal to wine, because, if you smoke too much of it, you pass out just like wine. And so these people are having a real hard time with these things, and how you could take these things not as sin and say that as long as you don't abuse it and use it in moderation, it's okay, and that God will bless you even if you do that according to it being in moderation, and it's okay with him, and you can still talk to him and he answers your prayers. This is what really gets me about these people, is they love to say these things, but then if I'm getting my prayers answered every day in huge ways, what's happening with them? Because why would they have to fight me? If my prayers work and I'm doing this, and I'm saying that I'm doing this so that your prayers could work too, because it's all about communication with God. And if he made the stuff and he just says, hey, go ahead and use it, but don't abuse it, isn't that just like food? Because if you think about it, organic food is really good. But you really don't need more than a meal a day. You could eat one good square meal with some rice and some meat, and you'd be fine, especially right now when nobody's hardly working. And there aren't like a lot of marathons going on, so it's not like we're Michael Phelps. But yet everybody is so focused on covering up, clothing up, because it's winter. And, oh yes, we can eat GMO foods. What's the problem with that? And if I go to the all-you-can-eat buffet, go 3 times and make chubby myself and eat 5 times a day, so what? What's wrong with that? I'm a free man. But Jesus lived in a time when it was really poor and people were homeless like him. And when he said, give us this daily our bread, he wasn't saying, give us this daily fridge full of food. No, he was saying, give us bread for today, because not everybody back then had work every day, and if they worked, they hoped they could make enough to buy bread. And he also said that when he comes, that a day's wage will earn a loaf of bread. And Trump has quickly got us on that road, because if you look at the dollar, it's becoming the peso overnight. And if you look at the stock market, well, it's trying to make some flight. But it's funny to me, all these people that love to say, if sin is smoking, you can't smoke on camera and preach the gospel. That's ridiculous. Well, maybe that's not your gospel, and that's why the gospel has been abused since way back. And that's why Jesus said, you guys go out and proselytize and make twice the hell of sons as yourself. But nah, it can't be fitting now. Oh, really? Can't it? And does anybody know that many prophets, like Elijah, like Jeremiah, some of these really good ones, were like told to get naked because people could no longer trust anybody with clothes because there's been so much scamming going on that if anybody's talking with clothes on, they always want to know how much money you got in your pockets, Mr. Big Guy. So all these people that think I'm nuts, I just want to say, hello! If I'm following the same path as many others did before, because of the people were so lost in lies and scams and BS, then if I'm crazy, maybe that's good, because I should be compared to that fold of not shoulds. Because many of the comfortable places they go in their head when they talk their doctrines of men that make sons of hell, they're not based anywhere with a king, and they don't like to talk about that Judeo-Christian idea that Christians don't know about, but the Judeo part knows that Jesus is boiling in crap in hell. So how does that fit with your little Jesus that you love and how he's going to save you and give you grace from above and take you away from this terrible judgment time so he can make his kingdom divine? Wow, it's like so deep, isn't it? Because you see, there's a great divide right now of those who think that they are the few, and they know because of their birthright that they're going to give them the kingdom for 1,000 years. But they just have to behead some of us first, because we're just a bunch of beasts. We're no good. We're all sinful and messed up. And maybe we get naked too much. I don't know, but there's a lot of stuff going around. People are really stressing out about it. But it's funny to me that I can take somebody like YouTube or my phone and say, hey, if you get on my side, YouTube leaves me open despite my nakedness, and sees my message is true, and knows my king is with me, then you'll be around for 1,000 years. And I'll tell the king that if I'm his Braveheart, that you're with me, and you will be gold tube for 1,000 years. And Hollywood productions of true stories galore? I mean, come on, I didn't even know that YouTube has a studio? But I leave that up to them, because see, ever since I said that, YouTube has been my buddy. Like, they actually believe that that king is going to come. More than my own son? I don't know, but sometimes I wonder, because I'll tell you what. When I go in a chat room or something with YouTube, I feel like the boss said, give him full reign. Like I'm like a prince. Like, really? I can just say what I want and break some of these chat room rules and make them all confused when they try to block me out? Because the funny thing about some of these YouTube's chat rooms is that YouTube might have tipped me off that when I go into the chat rooms, I find a lot of pressure coming back at me through the chat. And it's not from YouTube, I know, because I've done YouTube on my own plenty times and never had this problem before. But I do know that when there's people that are against the idea of a king, I can feel a demonic presence in that chat room. And I have to pray through it and ask my king to help me push through these demons to get the truth out. And when I do, wow, all of a sudden things open up. And YouTube never fights about it. And now all these people are saying, YouTube's history. Like Dennis Prager and some of these chosen ones. But I seem to find, and my videos are going through, so it's all good. And now I'm up to like, I don't know, 40 or something? Then people are just eating it up, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I get 10 views each or whatever. I don't know how many pass through the phones. But I know that some people are getting it because I'm seeing a few people around going, you know, this uncovered life is all right. especially with the sun coming out, needing some vitamin D, little natural protection from a virus. But of course, there's just thousands of strains out, so you never know. But if I could trust my king, who's coming and will fix my lungs anyway, give me a new body for 1,000 years, why am I stressing about that? Because see, one of the things that motivates me is bring my grandma and grandpa back, because they were the bomb all the way around. And if they were, and I want to make this place good for them, then what would be wrong with that? Because the problem with the rapture and all these fun doctrines of men, they like to say the world's trash, you gotta let it go, it's just gonna be destroyed in the end. Yeah, partly true, yeah, God will judge it and he will fix all the sin and shame. That's part of why the ocean goes away, because all those seas of lies go away. And he did set this up as his earth, and he does have a plan. There's nothing about Revelation that says he's going to burn it all up till the end, and that would be after 1,000 years and after the millennial kingdom, of which he's coming to reign. So it's just that simple, and you just look around and see what's happening. It's not that hard to see, because we're in a princely world, and there's nobody reigning right. But we got a king that's going to reign right for reals. So you have blue pill, red pill, and I think that might be part of the church too. You know, they got the Baptists or whatever, and the Catholics, and they're all mixed up, except the Catholics on the radio who are saying we need to pray 24/7 for a coming king, and be a church without walls is what Catholic means. And that's a pretty big thing, especially when you got Buddhists awaiting their karma king, and then you got those other ones, you know, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, who are saying our Savior is coming to reign as king for 1,000 years, so get ready. Doesn't seem to be a problem to me. And then you've got those Muslims who are saying that Allah is the Son of God who's going to be king, who every knee will bow to. Which fits just like the Buddha king that they're saying is a karma king. It's coming to reign for 1,000 years to give us karma payment for all those things we earned believing in the law of karma, which actually isn't far from Matthew 5, where Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," or the kingdom of God. But see, heaven always gets shuffled in there and like, oh, the kingdom is heaven. But see, the kingdom has been heaven for ever since it started. But see, now there's 8 million people there that weren't originally there. And there was some of the people down here that said, we don't need them, we'll just throw them away. But he has a catcher. And that catcher caught them all in the hay, and he took them up north and fixed them all up, made them better than they would have been born down here, and now he's ready to bring them to rule with him for 1,000 years. So we shouldn't have anything like bad karma with those kids, because they came here for us, but we threw them away. And if some of us threw them away more than others, well, it might be time to talk to them about us. And us, I mean the stained ones who were mixed up in that. Because if you're thinking grace is going to cover that, well, you might want to reread about Cain. Because Jesus came to fulfill the law, but he didn't change it one jot or tittle. And when there's blood on hands, there's blood on hands, no matter where you put his blood on top of it. Because it doesn't make everything right just to sweep it under the rug and say, I'm saved by grace. Well, yeah, but there's karma in that too, because you can't just kill somebody and walk away. And that's like been in the 10 Commandments ever since. It's life for a life. It's just the way it is. Just because you hate it doesn't mean that payment's not coming and that the king's got the naughty list, which might have been where Santa Claus came from. Because if you were a kid and you believed from the gate that Santa Claus was real, and then he was always keeping a list of who was nice and who was naughty and how the payments would come, well, now Santa Claus is coming and he's got gold for under the tree. But see, the tree isn't the thing in your living room, it's you. and how you lived. So let's take those Indian karma boys who believed all along that whatever you do, it's coming back. Either way, it's bad or it's good. It's coming back on that day. And then there will be 1,000 years of rest where we'll be paid for what we did or what we not did. And then we'll be whatever, lessened in one way. So if you think about how many people right now believe that every knee in the world is going to bow before this king when he comes in the sky. And every knee will see him and they will bow because they know he's king. And people that are arguing about that now are like, where are you trying to go? Because it says in Philippians 2, it'll happen. So if you're trying to say no, then where are you exactly? Because, see, many people have thought through the years that they're the only ones that are chosen. And that's where it comes to the end, comes to tears. Because, like, if you were the one that looked at Abraham and saw him saying, my descendants will be as the sand of the sea, well, then what sands are you and what sands are they? And how are they not me? Because, yeah, I can say, yeah, the sands are for me, and I know that I'm chosen, and I know that it's me. But then if it comes time that you need to chop off people's heads because you know they're not of the king, then, well, there might be a different stead. Because, you see, maybe the king knew all along who was his chosen and who wasn't, but he didn't tell anybody anything. He just said, hey, in the end, it's going to be all these people from all these tribes. And if we are all sons of Abraham, then maybe it's all of us. But we're so busy figuring out, wait a minute, it's got to be these ones, or it's got to be these ones, because it says Israel. But Israel's name first was Jacob, which is trickster. And a couple other promises to tell. But you see, Jacob would have remained the trickster. He would have just kept tricking his way in. But he became Israel. But why? Because he wrestled with God until he wouldn't let God go until he blessed him. Which means that if any of us want to claim to be Israel, or any tribe, that we should be wrestling with God. So that promise is of us. If that's where the foundation of it came, and that's how it started, then we should be like, please, God, my king, can you put me on that? And that would be more in line with how Jacob became Israel, and how we all can be sands of the sea. But if you pick your team and say, oh yeah, I'm on this one, who believes Jesus has been boiling in crap since he died, well, that might not be like what my king wants me to believe. And if I am like that when he comes, then I'm all masked up, clothed up, and comfy in my house. How do I know that he's not going to say, depart from me, I never knew you, you who work iniquity? Because if I'm leading other people and telling them, hey, this is the way to go, and we're the sheep, and we just want to honor Israel. But if Israel is not Israel, and Revelation 2 said, Jews who call themselves Jews but are not, but are a synagogue of Satan, well, that would not be the one we want to be tied up with. And if we know that that's a prince, and he's been reigning since way back, and he's taught our Hollywood how to act a certain way, and our president seems to be on the same page, with a coin with the knives out ready for our heads, and then we've got the Biden with the same tune, just going with a different stead, but he's still saying anti-Semite, anti-LGBTQ, which is just more of the same. And Stalin was the first to start those laws and took 10 million Russians away to make sure that they were more acceptable, or the chosen ones, however you would like to say. That does seem like that would be a God thing to do that way. And all those people that are involved in all that, I think they got like some price to pay, because a lot of blood on their hands. And then if you add like 8 million abortions to it. Well, who's mixed up in what? I don't know. But I do tell you one thing, when you tell simple truth and people just can't take it, you wonder, what made you this blind? Is it Obama flicks galore that just screwed up your head? Or is there some blood on your hands that's making it too red? Because when you've got like stains that you don't want to deal with, it's easy to cover them up on something more comfortable. Especially like an escape clause, you know. But if that escape clause doctrine of men has got you looking at the Buddhas and all them and saying, oh yeah, those Muslims and Buddhists, they're all going to be in hell forever. There's no chance for them. Well, you know, that's when Jesus said, judge not, lest you be judged in the same manner you judge. And sending a lot of people to hell isn't really wise, because if God judged you and how those Buddhas lived, maybe they were more on the kingdom side than you. Because you were so, I'm so special to him. That you did whatever you want and got all rich and got all happy. And living your life and not even thinking about those Indians and how much they struggled and how much they said, well, God, I'm poor now. But if karma comes, I could be 1,000 years rich, so I won't stress about it. And if rats crawl all over me and I'm almost naked, so be it. That's me. And those Indians seem to be really sitting pretty because they're looking for a king. And it's Karma King for 1,000 years. But many of us are like, no, it can't be for us because, you know, these people are going to suffer in hell. So you see how it just doesn't fit? But now if you look at the people that have blood on their hands, especially those ones with the pro-choice, hey, it's just, and they kind of fit with, oh, we're saved by grace. And the king's not like that. He doesn't like get into blood and judgment. Revelation 17. That's different than what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to go with this. And that's all up to you. But when he comes, and you're not on the same page because you didn't think about a king coming almost naked, and when he comes, it's kind of shocking to you, and you go, oh, let me take this off. And he's like, I don't know you. Because see, my king, my kingdom is based on no fear and great faith. And if you're that scared of a virus, can't tell you're making it to my place, but I can tell you that there is a little special spaceship headed for you with your selfish idea that only you are going to make it in and that the rest of the world is going to like suffer in hell. Because that's not what I said, and that's not what Philippians 2 says, that every knee will bow to the glory of God the Father. And people in hell, that doesn't fit with the glory of God the Father. I think it would be more if everybody on earth was like, yes, King, I want to worship you. And if some of those people aren't labeled Christian or have the right doctrines that I've always been taught, well, then you better be careful that I say, oh yeah, he's going to hell. Because hell was created for the demon and the devils, the devil and his demons, and not for us. But if we do go there, we might go there for a time or whatever. But that depends on us. And it doesn't depend on them not believing what we think they should believe, because they've been taught in their culture about a God who comes to judge, just like Jesus said. Blessed are the poor in spirit, and they were poor in spirit from the gate. For theirs is the kingdom of God, which is right fitting with that Karma King. And if you think those Indians wouldn't be down to like just go back to a fig leaf and do Adam and Eve all over again, well, maybe you should just think twice about what it is to exist and why created God us in the first place. Because if you think he just created us to make clothes and get in the clothes business, that's not how Adam and Eve started. And the way it seems like in Revelation, after the apple was eaten, if you asked them, they probably would have said, it would have been better if we wouldn't have started with the apple and just lived naked the way he created us to. And so it wasn't about the sin. It was about not doing it that would have made things right. So why wouldn't he want to set up a kingdom starting over where everything's right? Especially when we already learned from our mistakes and have full seas full of lies to prove that it didn't work. So now we got to get on track with the king who's making everyone wise. I love Love you. Keep it up.